All right, 21 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. Beautiful looking Thursday morning. Hope you're doing well. And I'm going to tell you, you just might be doing a little bit better after you pick up the book that we're going to talk about right here. And that sounds like a sales pitch if I ever heard one. But I mean it with this book. And at the risk of sounding like Oprah, let me tell you something. That a book is only a book. It's only paper. It's only words. But this particular book, when you read it, if you utilize the information in this book, it'll be you and your mind, your changed mind, that might actually make your life a little bit better. And the author of the book is Tony DeLiso, and he's in the studio with us. His book is called Legacy, The Power Within. And whether if you go back in time to, there was a guy who walked the planet, his name was Jesus Christ. I think he said some things that if you believe that you could receive, that kind of thing. And I'm terrible at quoting the Bible, but, and then Norman Vincent Peale had The Power of Positive Thinking. Napoleon Hill had this the whole series of books that he wrote about visualizing and making things your own. And more recently, this woman who has this book called The Secret. My goodness, there's just so many. But this is really right on target. It's called Legacy, The Power Within. Tony DeLiso is here. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Larry. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming into the studio. Where do you live?
In West Marion. It's just outside of Ocala.
And have you lived here? You said you only lived here 2 years?
Not quite 2 years yet.
2 years.
Yes.
And you moved up from where? Miami?
Margate, Hollywood,
Fort
Lauderdale.
Okay, and I know where that is. That's a nice area. Yeah.
30 years down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in. Are you a student of the people I just mentioned? Napoleon Hill, Norman Vincent Peale, Jesus Christ?
And not the superstar. Yes. Napoleon Hill, as a matter of fact, is quoted in the book. It's positive thinking has gotten kind of not a real good name for itself. Positive thinking is like, I just think positive, my life is fine. It's really overcoming fears and doubts. And that's what Ask and Receive is all about. In fact, the book is based on Ask and You Shall Receive. And I think the first book came out in 2000, and the extended version, which is the one you have, is probably 2004. Mm-hmm. And the biggest difference was that all I did was clean up some of the grammar.
Oh, really? Okay.
And extended it a little bit. I added meditation to it. It's a little bit longer book than the first one.
One of the things we bookmarked, let me go to my bookmarked page, and I want to read this to the listeners. It starts with the word fact, and then in quotes you put this: your subconscious mind is always alert and communicating with you. It finds ways to communicate with you. Sometimes the subconscious uses subtle ways to communicate, and sometimes through those hard and difficult situations that we've all gone through, right? We go through in life, but that seems to take forever to overcome. We call these situations life's lessons, like when it is time for us to move on with our lives, but we may have been reluctant or unwilling to make the necessary changes. Then things seem to happen that may be very difficult to manage and sometimes even tragic. We humans do have a tendency to avoid change until we find that we are forced to change to move on. That is right on target, I think. Do you think, and this is really kind of a philosophical question, I suppose, but you're a philosophical man. Do you think that those changes that we're supposed to be making, that we're reluctant to make, is a nudging from God, or do you believe that kind of thing?
I think it's kind of a nudging, kind of an urging, and I think it comes from within. And my beliefs in God are very different from the way I grew up. Mm-hmm. And yes, I still do believe in God, and it's really kind of a closer relationship. I'm not good at quoting the Bible either, but the old idea of God is closer than hands and feet, and things to that extent. I think we have to go through the subconscious in order to reach the realm, and if we can affect the subconscious, anything is possible. Anything.
Now, why do you think? And I've never heard anybody answer this question, but I've never asked it before. Why do you think we're designed that way?
The image of God. I don't know any other.
But why aren't we designed so that if we want, why do we have to dig deep into our subconscious in order to have a thought that manifests itself as reality? Why can't our conscious mind simply think it?
Basically, the conscious mind does. This is a constant communication with the subconscious, and your entire day is run based on that. If you purposely ask for something, now you're conscious about it happening. For example, you don't think about your morning routine when you wake up. You you expect it to come about. So you wake up and you brush your teeth and you have your coffee, whatever.
Right.
But now I want to be a radio host.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Well, how do you do that? Well,
You apply.
You apply, and you apply yourself. You take the volition that you have in order to become this person that you want to become because of whatever motivation you have. And that is the gist of it. It's because you want it and you have the motivation. There's some kind of energy behind you. Now, the urge may have come from inside you or from outside, because outside stimulates the inside. And that's how we grow. It really doesn't matter what it is that you want to become. If you want to become a pop star, you want to become a restaurant owner, you want to become it. It is no longer what you're satisfied with doing, because it's from the inside. Now, where did this urging come from?
Where did it come from?
Oh, now how does a person control the other voices that are going on in your head that try to keep you from achieving this goal? Because sometimes, you'll want to do something and you'll start moving forward, and all of a sudden this big voice of doubt says, wait a minute, you really can't do that. How do you overcome that?
Okay, the voice of doubt is your own voice, and it's probably from a gathered growing negativity that you've had in your life. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't. To overcome it, one of the things that I think is most beneficial is, and in the Bible it says, be still and know that I am God. In meditation, being still is to be taken literally. You just don't move. You kind of hold everything down to, consciously, you hold everything down to where you're just relaxed, totally relaxed. And those voices, those constant thoughts are going to be bombarding you just, nonstop. But as you become accustomed to not giving them your attention, they go away. They come and they go. They come and they go. And then the barrage of thoughts becomes less. That's taking control of your life. That's taking control of your thinking. If you want something, the difficulty in receiving it is the fact that you're thinking doubt, and that's blocking the reception. Some of this stuff is subconscious, which means that it's below your consciousness. You're not able to recognize it, right? And so in order to reinforce, you have to become your own best advocate. You have to become your cheerleader. Someone said to you when you were little, no, don't touch this, don't touch that. And it kind of, it's part of what you grew up with. So you have to overcome that by, I deserve to touch this, I deserve to touch that, I deserve to have what I want in life. Some people stop short. Some people are very pleased with the fact that they're on the street. Some people are not pleased until they have mansions that they live in. And, your comfort zone is what keeps you from going any further.
Right, and there's so much evidence of what you're saying that is true. And I just, if nobody's ever noticed it before, and most people do, if you look at the children of people who are, let's say, middle class, they typically grow up to become middle-class citizens. And for some reason, the people who are poor have children who grow up to be poor. Now, anybody listening right now can name exceptions to this, but I'm talking usually. Usually this is true. Somebody who was a poor child who became a superstar with a mansion, that's the one who embraces this concept, because that's who we want to speak to. And very rarely do you see the Paris Hiltons living in the streets. Very rarely do you see those people ending up. And of course you could say, well, because they have the golden spoon or the silver spoon, they get it from their mom and dad, so money is easy for them. But they could easily, and there's probably some stories like that too, where the child of a famous rich person ends up living in the streets. I'm sure there's lots of stories like that. The woman who was Margot Kidder from Superman, she had her she was like a street woman for a little while, and then she pulled herself back up again. But she was Superman's. She was Lois Lane.
Yes, she was.
Right, in the Superman movie.
Top.
So anyway, what I'm getting at, Tony, is the fact that if you are talking to people who already embrace how to become successful, embrace how to feel like you deserve these things, this abundance that God gives all of us, those people already know it. So how do we convince people who are right now saying, I got so many bills, I'm constantly finding myself ill, my family never gets along? How do you talk to that person and get them to embrace something that is so true so that they can break free from that?
I think it's